Welcome to the Weekly Dose Podcast, your one-stop shop for the weekly news in incretin mimetic therapies, with your host, man on the Manjaro, Dave Knapp. Welcome to a special edition of On the Pen Podcast, the Weekly Dose. This week, we're going to get into a topic that we have not delved into yet on this channel too far, and that is the issue of compound medications, and specifically the differences between 503A and 503B pharmacies. I know you've been waiting for this one. I'm excited to bring it to you. We're going to learn together why all compounds are not created equal. So before we get into that, hit that like, hit that bell, hit that sub. Make sure you get all the notifications for everything we do on this channel. Let's get into it. So when we hear about compounds, we may conjure up ideas in our head of everything from research grade chemicals that are available on the gray market all the way up to something that we get from a local compound pharmacy, right? And everything in between. So what I want to do is I want to help you understand what the difference is between these different compounded versions are. So at the bottom of the steps, like the lowest level, we have this research grade stuff that's pretty sketchy, in my opinion, not stuff that I would mess around with because all we have basically to tell us what's in it is, in some cases, a certificate of analysis. In some cases, they don't even provide that, but we don't know what kind of deals are going on behind the scenes with these certificate of analysis. We don't know oftentimes the source of these medications, and we know that it's definitely not regulated because the disclaimer on those versions say not for human consumption. So let's put that aside because we don't touch that on this channel. Then it comes to the actual compound medications where you need a prescription to get them, right? You're working with your physician. They're writing a prescription for a compounded version of either semaglutide or tirzepatide. Now, why can you get the active ingredient in either of Wegovy or Zepbound? Why can you actually get that? Isn't it patented? Yes, it is. It's patented formulas by Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk respectively. But what happens is there are laws in place that when medications are in short supply, as both these medications are, compound pharmacies can step in and fill that role. They can make generic versions of these medications and sell them. So let's talk about compound pharmacies real briefly. They serve a critical role in our healthcare system in the United States because oftentimes what they're doing is they're providing medications for people where they're not available in certain doses commercially. They have certain preservatives or dyes or things like that in them that people are allergic to. So compound pharmacies come in and they take the active ingredient and they give it to you in a form that you can tolerate or in the dosage that you need, right? So that's the role typically that compound pharmacies have played. Oftentimes you'll see compound pharmacies also making vitamins or supplements or mixing different vitamins and supplements. So compound pharmacies are excellent, but they're not all created equal. So let's talk about specifically, we're going to talk about semaglutide and tirzepatide respectively in their compound forms. So we're going to talk about 503A and 503B pharmacies. That's the source of the compounds that you see being offered by many of the telehealth companies that are out there currently. And I want to break down the differences between 503A and 503B so that by the end of this video, you'll have a pretty good understanding of what the differences are and how to source what you feel is best for you and have more competent and more confident conversations with your doctor. So let's get into 503A pharmacies. So 503A pharmacies are traditional compound pharmacies. You may have one in your neighborhood and you don't even know about it. But compound pharmacies are authorized to customize medications on an individual prescription basis. So you go to your doctor, he writes a prescription, you walk into your mom and pop pharmacy that has a compounding pharmacy built into it, and they make your cream without a dye that you're allergic to, or you bring your kids prescription for a certain medication that's not available in a lower dose or something like that. You bring it into the compound pharmacy, they make it for you on an individual prescription basis. These pharmacies are governed by their state boards of pharmacy. So that's who they're beholden to. That's where they get their certification from. That's who does their inspection. So if you're getting your compounded Tirzepatide or compounded semaglutide, you're getting it from a 503A pharmacy, that's the type of pharmacy you're getting from. That pharmacy would also have to have certain regulations for sterility, right? Because not all compound pharmacies are able to make injectable medications. So this would be a sterile 503A pharmacy that makes medications on a individual prescription basis. So that's 503A pharmacies. Let's get into 503B pharmacies. 503B pharmacies are quite different, as 503B pharmacies are outsourcing facilities and they produce large batches of compound medications. The big difference between a 503A and a 503B is a 503A is a medication that's been mixed by a person. In 503B pharmacies, it's most times machines that are actually doing that job. So machines don't get tired, machines accurately measure, and they are titrated to provide really accurate doses of the medications, right? And they're doing this on a large scale. They're providing medications to hospitals, pharmacies, clinics, things like that. So not direct sort of to consumer, right? So that's what a 503B pharmacy is. The big difference between a 503A and 503B pharmacy from a regulation standpoint is 503B pharmacies are actually governed by the current goods and manufacturing process. So that is regulated by the FDA. So I think I said that wrong. Current good manufacturing practices. So what does this mean? I think this is an important thing to understand. The CGMP, which is again governed by the FDA. So if you're a 503B pharmacy, you have to comply with the CGMP. And this is a manufacturing process, certain regulations, systems, processes that they have to adhere to. If you've ever worked in the food industry, you may have heard of something called HACCP, Hazard Analysis of Critical Control Points. Within different industries, there are regulations that sort of come out of government entities that are designed to help protect consumers. And that's what the CGMP is. So basically what you have is a system and a process that's implemented by these 503B pharmacies that ensure that each batch of your compound semaglutide or your compound Tirzepatide is consistently meeting the required quality specifications, which helps maintain the drug's efficacy and the identity, the integrity of that medication. This helps ensure that there is a higher level of patient safety because their adherence to this will minimize the risk of contaminations, mix-ups, and errors in dosing. So we've seen lots of articles pop up over the last couple of months about people basically getting too much of their compounded semaglutide or Tirzepatide and ending up hospitalized because the dosing wasn't right in these medications. That's why the CGMP is super important. And the CGMP, again, that program is overseen by the Food and Drug Administration. So that is the huge difference when we talk about oversight of 503B pharmacies. So I hope that helps you understand the difference between the two. Now let's get into the sourcing of the active pharmaceutical ingredient, because this is really a big question that gets asked of me a lot. So this is something I've done a lot of digging on. So the 503A pharmacies, again, they cater to individual prescriptions. They have to source their APIs from FDA registered suppliers, right? So their suppliers have to be registered with the FDA. On 503B pharmacies, the outsourcing facilities that they use are subject to, again, that CGMP. So an extra layer of FDA oversight. So the APIs between the two may not always be created equal either, although with both 503A and 503B, there's not a whole lot of transparency about the source of the API. So that is one question that I would definitely ask when looking at a potential compounded medication is, what is the source of the active ingredient? And these are all questions that I think are important to consider, whatever alternative source, if you cannot get the branded medication. Now, if you followed my channel, the branded medication is my number one source. I will go to great lengths. I've gone down in dose when I couldn't find my medication. I've gotten medications from pharmacies in other states to ship to me when I can't find my medication. I will go to great lengths to stay on the branded version of the medication. But as these issues get deeper and deeper as the prescriptions of Zepbound, new prescriptions of Zepbound continue to be written. The new prescriptions of Wegovy continue to be written, and the shortages get worse. People will inevitably turn to other sources. And so what I want to do is at least provide some information to you today. I hope this was helpful on the understanding of 503A versus 503B pharmacies, who regulates them, how they're handling the medication and delivering the medication. If it was, would you consider sharing this video, this podcast, however you receive this information today, with somebody who might find it helpful? There's a link in the description below to onthepen.com where you can sign up for email alerts if you're interested in getting more information about providers that are offering 503B sourced compounded versions of these medications that we talk about, the active ingredients anyway. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being the best part of what we do here at On the Pen. I appreciate each and every one of you. Until we see you on the next one, we will see you on the pen. Have a great weekend, everybody.